Fourth season of performing arts at the university. So half has already taken place last year, and the next half has kicked off already. So I'm here to find out more about what's coming up. So Bill, tell me, we've had such an exciting first season. We've had interactive family theater outdoors. We've had an 8-hour play. We've had Korean ballet. What is coming up for 2019?
So we have a really broad array of, especially music, dance, film is really the focus of what we're doing in the spring semester. And it's, I think, sort of what's very typical for the Arts Center, but also I think really appropriate since this has been designated as the Year of Tolerance, is a lot of the artists that we're presenting are really focusing on sort of cross-cultural and cross-genre collaborations and really about looking at those encounters.
Mm-hmm. And things have already started now in
we go until April, and then we're actually we're looking at adding some secret surprises in June right after Ramadan.
Cool. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
So kicking things off on the 7th and 8th of February is Autobiography by company Wayne McGregor. So Wayne McGregor is an award-winning British choreographer, but tell me a bit more about why he's considered such a pioneer in his industry.
So I think first and foremost, his choreography is stunning. The dancers are incredibly beautiful dancers, and he's really inventive. One of the things that has become a real hallmark of his work is that he really explores the connection between dance and science. He's been a speaker on TED Talks, for example, and talked a lot about that. For this piece, it's called Autobiography. The music is by Jay Lin, who's an electronic music composer from the US who does really great, funky, abstract techno. And the piece is based on his interest in genomics. We do a lot at the Arts Center that is about trying to put the arts in dialogue with other disciplines, which is a big part of what NYUAD is about. And so as an extension of what we're doing with Imagine Science Film Festival, we thought this was a great follow-up. In Autobiography, Wayne actually had his genetic code extracted and used that as the basis of this extended work. It's an evening-length work, about an hour long, in 23 sections, like the 23 sections of the gene. And the idea is that like DNA, there's very simple material that then becomes increasingly complex. And there's also this idea of mutations where you can have the same material which sort of continues to spin out. So he uses that as a way to influence the structure, but also as a way to really explore very personal stories through dance. The idea of autobiography: how do you describe yourself through abstract art? Who's worked with Radiohead. He's set works on Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. He's set work on the Paris Opera Ballet. So he's worked with really the finest artists in the world, because he is one of the finest artists in the world. We just discovered, as we were telling people about this, that there are a number of schools here in Abu Dhabi who actually study him as part of their curriculum. So he's at that level. And the dancers are really extraordinary. In this piece, there's also a beautiful, beautiful stage set. These upside-down pyramids that continue to change height at different sections of the piece. Some of our work is really great for all ages. I think this one, the music is abstract techno. The dancers are really full on. So it's not necessarily one you bring your kind of little kids to, but if you've got older kids who are really interested in contemporary dance or ballet, it's really a chance to see some of the best of the best.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And then the following week, on 14th of February, you have Arturo O'Farrell, and he's bringing his Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra. So this is sort of a big band jazz style, right?
Exactly.
It sounds like a fun way to spend Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so this is a case where sometimes as a curator you rip yourself off and you sort of recycle ideas. And so before I came to Abu Dhabi, I ran several festivals at Lincoln Center in New York, One was called Midsummer Night Swing, which was a festival of live music for social dancing. So we had swing and salsa and mambo and tango and disco, and it's one of the most joyous events that happens every year in New York City. And so I wanted to do something that built on that brought people together on the dance floor. And Arturo is somebody who is going to be part of two different programs in our season. This is a way to show off his roots. His father, Chico O'Farrell, was one of the great band leaders, arrangers, composers from the swing and mambo era. And so this is him really drawing on his family lineage. And mambo has its roots in Cuba, but really expressed itself as in New York. So clubs like the Palladium and the Copacabana were really the center of mambo. It's an 18-piece big band, incredible arrangements, and we're going to start the evening with a free dance class for people who are attending the concert, so people can pick up some basic moves before they go on. And it's a perfect night for outdoors on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And so, as you said, you have a second performance with Arturo, and that's one very special for you guys because it's something that the Art Center commissioned. Right? So that's on the 20th of February.
Right,
And this
exactly.
is the Cuban collegiate project. So tell me how this whole idea came about. What made you guys decide to partner for this commission?
So I've been a fan of Cuban music for a really long time, and it's always been a dream of mine to go visit Cuba. And because of geopolitics, it wasn't always so easy. And then about 2 years ago, I went with a writer named Ned Sublett. He ran one of the most important record labels that was presenting Cuban music and distributing it in the U.S. He actually teaches at NYU in New York right now. But he wrote a book called Cuba and Its Music that is a history of music up until 1959, until the Cuban Revolution. In the African part of that, he started the book with about the influence of, for example, Arabic poetry and how that influenced the Cuban poetic form decima, which sort of is at the roots of a And so all of a sudden I thought, all right, this is a story of the relationship between the Arab world and the Americas that people don't often think about. And so who could I turn to that would really want to have that conversation? And so I had a relationship with Arturo. I had worked with him at this festival, Midsummer Night Swing, before, and also another festival I ran called Lincoln Center Out of Doors, where he presented a piece called The Offense of the Drum, which looked at sort of percussion traditions from Cuban music, from Africa, from the New World. And so he's someone who's really a musical bridge builder, which is what we're trying to do. So I approached him with this idea. He immediately responded to it. And at the same time, I had started to get to know Gulf pearl diving music traditions a little bit more. So I had gone with a group of NYUAD students and a professor, Andy Eisenberg, to Kuwait to hear a group that's now called Boom Diwan and Mayuf Majali, who are a traditional Bahri pearl diving music ensemble. And I was fascinated by the tradition. Then I went to Bahrain and I heard pearl diving music there. And one of the things that's really striking when you hear it is uh, pearl divers had songs that they protection. Songs that they would play while they'd be in port trading all the pearls that they'd collected for a long period of time. he, I think, responded to and Cuba as a seafaring culture, and what happens when you've got places where musicians are constantly trading and bringing in new ideas, and how do you create new cultures? So we put together a show with a number of different artists from the Gulf and from North Africa to both explore the history but also hopefully create some new history.
Yeah, and it's interesting because on the face of it, you wouldn't think that Emirati or collegiate music has such strong ties with Cuban music and heritage, but actually that's the kind of thing that shows it does, and cultures are all linked together.
Yeah, and it's a great way to extend some other work that's been happening. For example, the Abu Dhabi Music and Art Foundation commissioned Lebanese pianist Tarek Yamani a couple of years ago to do a piece called Peninsular, which had its world premiere as part of the Abu Dhabi Festival, but here at the Art Center, which Tarek was also kind of looking at Arabic jazz and its relation to collegiate music. And there are more and more people who are trying to explore this because it's just it's a part of the history and a way to look at how the world is interlinked in a way that isn't cliched, hasn't really been told, and it's just so rich musically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And we brought Arturo. First, we brought him here, and we had some rehearsals with Ali Obeid. He's an Emirati oudist who's based in Fujairah. He came through the program at Beit Daoud, and now he's really leading the arts program in Fujairah. And I got to see the musicians working together for the first time, and just teaching each other songs and rhythms, and that was the roots. Because the most important thing in a collaboration is the chemistry between the two people. And so we got to hear how they found their way in. Flamenco becomes, I think, really a sort of a connective tissue as well. And then we went with Arturo to Kuwait and had some rehearsals with Boom Diwan. And to see the Cuban rhythms and the piano lines and the Kuwaiti percussionists sort of find their way in, to see Arturo learning the basic rhythms of the clay pots that they use for percussion, it just became apparent that this is something that is going to be an incredible concert, but is also something I think that all of the musicians are going to really be able to build on for the future.
And for the concert itself, Boom Diwan is part of it?
Yeah, so for the concert itself, we altogether I think we have 28 musicians or so. So you've got Arturo, an 18-piece Afro-Latin jazz orchestra. You've got Ali Obeid on oud. Boom Diwan is going to be 5 or 6 percussionists plus Ghazi Al-Malefi on electric guitar, and he's been working on his own fusion of jazz and pro-Latin music. Then there is Yaz Ahmed. She's an electro jazz trumpeter who's British, Bahraini. She's in a certain way following the footsteps of Ibrahim Malouf, who was here in Abu Dhabi when the Louvre opened. She's also actually worked with Radiohead. There's a whole little Radiohead theme here. And then Malika Zara, who's a French-Moroccan singer who has been mixing Moroccan music and jazz for many years. And so the plan is that there will be different sections that feature different collaborators, but as we develop it over the course of the week-long residency, hopefully it's gonna gel into one large ensemble with different people coming in. Sometimes it might break down to a small ensemble, but it's really something where Arturo is not looking to impose what he does on them. He's taking a lot of compositions that are part of their repertoire and then rearranging them, but then really just letting the musicians be musicians and come up with something brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you already mentioned the dance workshop that's going to be ahead of the Valentine's Day Mambo, but you guys have a huge initiative that you want people to understand. It's not only about the events on stage, the performances, but you also have side events in your off the stage program with all these other workshops. And so tell me a bit more about these events that are coming up in February and what off the stage activities are part of that.
Sure. I think it's important for us especially as part of an education institution, that it's not just about the show. The shows, of course, are the largest, most visible part of what we do, but there's a real commitment to building the arts culture in the UAE. And so we do a lot of classes and workshops and master classes and panels and post-show discussions. The Imagine Science Festival, which is going on now, for example, has a whole series of gallery talks, and after every film screening, we've got conversations with filmmakers and scientists. So we're always looking at kind of bridging that. So it's not merely an experience of entertainment. In the case of Wayne McGregor, they are going to be doing a dance class. This is going to be for more intermediate and advanced contemporary dancers, and that's something that is it's open to dancers from all over the UAE. It's not just for NYUAD students. But I think that combination of having a place where the larger community and the NYU Abu Dhabi community come together through their shared love of the arts is really important. We are going to be doing music workshops with Arturo and with Ghazi Al-Malefi. He was here for the Alberta Festival, which the Ministry of Culture had organized in November, and did a great workshop on, and there's a dance that people do in the sort of pearl diving music tradition that was associated with the laying down of an anchor. So when you see people dance, you see them sort of jumping up and sort of walking across the room, and they have a turn and they come back, and it feels a little bit abstract. What he did is he actually had a huge rope, and it was a rope that was the kind of rope that you would use to pull in the anchor. And then all of a sudden you understood how this music and how this dance came from the actual functional aspect of, like, you're pulling in the anchor and you need to kind of be in coordinated sync with everybody else's working, and then you turn because you're going to the end of the line to keep pulling. And so he's going to be doing a workshop in that. And then later, when we get into the beginning of March for the Barzakh Festival, we're also going to have a panel discussion with our Career Development Center, because I think it's important as the creative sector is really growing in the UAE, that people don't only learn the skills of how to dance, how to make better music, but also what do you do with it? How do you actually develop a career as an artist, and what are the other things that are involved in being an entrepreneur and artist at the same time, and promoting yourself and making connections and getting publishing. So we really want to draw on the experiences of all the artists who are here.
Yeah, cool. And these are all free to attend, right?
These are all free to attend. People can sign up on our website. We have an email newsletter that we send out once a week, and that's where we announce a lot of those. And they're also listed in our brochure. And then sometimes we throw after parties. We've been partnering with Boogie Box for the past few years, and they just moved to the Annex at the Edition Hotel, which is a beautiful space, great sound system. And so after Wayne McGregor, for example, we're just having an after party. It's just a place where people can get together with the dancers from the company and Jaylin and one another. I think that's the other thing, is we really think about the role of the arts in building community in Abu Dhabi, and the idea that people who share a love and a passion for music or dance or theater or film can get to know one another.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
And before we say goodbye, tell us the ticketing link for people to get tickets for any of these events.
Yeah, so our website is nyuad-artscenter.org. We spell Arts Center the U.S. way with an E-R. We're also on social media at NYUAD Arts Center on Twitter and Instagram, and we've got our Facebook page. So we do have, we've got this beautiful brochure which has a lot of our events listed, but we're actually also frequently adding events in. There are events that we do with the academic departments here, for example, with the music program or the theater program, that sometimes get added in a little bit later. So being on our email list is actually the best way to find out everything that's happening here. Is, and of course, reading Abu Dhabi World.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time, Phil. Really appreciate it. And that's all from us. Stay tuned, because we will have more information coming from NYU Arts Center very soon.